Welcome everybody, ladies and gentlemen, to my Season 4 guide of Upper Karazhan. Now, the reception for Lower Karazhan was fantastic, so I appreciate you all for watching, and I hope you guys learned something new in that dungeon. Today we're going for the other half of that dungeon, which is Upper Karazhan. Now, people don't really know how to do this one either very well. Both these Karazhan dungeons are arguably the hardest ones this season. So we'll go straight into it. Doing this as a prot paladin this time, because we were doing some carries on stream, and prot paladin kind of trivializes the second boss, which is almost always the boss that people can't get past, which is Medivh, infamously. We'll jump into it. It's just a 15, it's not too crazy. I think we 2-chest this or close enough to it. We do have a few fails here and there, which I'll explain how to fix and what to do to get around it, and I'll show you all the tips and tricks you need to learn about this dungeon. So let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. First off, we have, give me a second, let me get rid of this. Alrighty, so this is our VOD from today of a 15 Upper Karazhan. Now, I'm on my paladin. I'm going to pick Mastery as my stat of choice here. Now, I'm not the best paladin, but bear with me if I do something wrong. Let me know in the comment section below. I think I'm okay. Definitely not as good as my DK though. So I'm going to grab these two. We've got the Spirit and the Infiltrator. Infiltrator does the same stuff. You're always dodging the frontal, and you're always dodging the pulls on the ground. Forlorn Spirit, you're just going to have to interrupt an ability. That's about it. There's a dot that comes onto someone as well. You just get rid of it. Or you heal through it. Now this week is Fortified, Grievous, and Sanguine. So positioning of mobs is a lot more important for the tank, and obviously the healer has an added affix of keeping people alive with Grievous. Now paladins, also for Upper Karazhan, can off-heal very well, so they can deal with extra damage coming from certain mobs and certain bosses very, very well to aid the healer in keeping people topped. Now, they did recently just change the mini-boss Zul'Gurmux from after the first boss to before the first boss. So right now we have Zul'Gurmux here. So this again, you want to make sure you break through the blood siphon. You're interrupting the blood siphon. There is apparently a way that a prot paladin can stop the blood siphon from even happening. I'm pretty sure it's just like a very minute millisecond of using your interrupt or your Avenger's shield to stop the blood siphon from coming before the shield actually comes on. I'm not sure how to do it properly. If you have any ideas of how to do it, let me know, or Blizzard will probably fix it soon anyway. But we're killing Zul'Gurmux here. We'll get this blood siphon down, and we're going to get rid of it. Also, making sure that you're stunning the Hypnosis Bat, otherwise someone is going to get MC'd and just die. So we're going to go through here, and we're just going to pull the left golem here. So there's a little trick here. This is the first neat trick of this dungeon, is if you as a tank stand right on the side of these stairs here, and everybody else stacks right underneath next to the stairs, they will probably 99.999% of the percent of the time, none of the swirls will go anywhere near them. So they can just full single target. They don't have to worry about dodging anything. You don't have to worry about dodging anything. Everything is a-okay. So that's a little tip there for you guys. So make sure you're doing that with your groups. Makes this specific mob a lot easier. Eventually, if you're pulling both, you can do that too. If you're just pulling one and just following this route, do that, please. Now the Abstract Nullifier, it's going to target someone and nullify them. So as you can see, it's on me. It's going to silence me, and there's a purple bunch of balls on the ground with a purple pool in the middle. Just walk into that, and you'll remove the debuff. That's about it. That's all this mob does. And then when we go into the next room, we're going to grab these elementals with a bunch of these mana gorged worms as well. Just have to make sure you interrupt the worms and you break the shield of the arcane boy. Now there's 4 packs of these. If you ever end up pulling the boss here, you can just move him out of the room and it'll reset. You don't have to worry about if you accidentally pull the boss. Don't engage the boss. Don't try and do the mobs with the boss, especially on Sanguine Week. It's not a good idea. Just make sure that you're resetting the boss. I'm pretty sure throughout this we do end up resetting the boss. So here we go. This is perfect here. So we're pulling this. The boss gets pulled. I'm just going to taunt it. chuck a judgment at it, and then it's going to pull it out of this. As soon as it goes through this doorway, it'll reset, and happy days. Now we'll kill these two, and now I think I'm going to pull both these packs, because we have a respawn coming out. Might as well just pull both of them. Now only do this if you're comfortable to do this, by the way. You do need cooldowns to get rid of mobs fairly quickly. You don't want to have too many of these Managorge worms going off with their casts, and you don't want too many arcane barrages going off as well. So here we go, we're nuking down. We're just going to kill both packs, and then we're going to go straight to the boss. Now, you want to start at this end if possible. You can save a little bit of time by starting on this end, if you can. If the boss is at the other end, start at the other end. The reason being is that the end of the hallway is the portal to the next portion of the dungeon. If you start from here, you'll end up there, and you'll save like 3-4 seconds travel time, maybe, if you're a fast class. It's just something to add if you want to. So what we're going to do is you're going to have a summoned volatile energy. This, again, like every other boss in the goddamn universe, adds over boss. Every single time. I cannot stress that enough. Always kill the ads over the boss. Now, these ads are tauntable, so the tank wants to make sure that you do have aggro of them, and they'll be next to the boss at all times. If you don't have aggro and someone is out in, you know, Narnia, attacking in range, and the ad spawns on them for some reason, then that's on them. You'll have to turn around and get aggro of it there. So everybody, you shouldn't be too far away from this boss. Everyone should be kind of nicely stacked, or at least around each other, and then moving together as a group, so you don't fill the entire room with energy pulsates on the ground, and then it just makes it worse. It just makes it really rough to have to move things around if there's just puddles of energy just everywhere. You want to make it as small as possible and tight-knit as possible. So as you can see, that drops. Our Warlock, unfortunately, from a different server to us, has a very high ping right now. Got hit by the energy there. Now this volatile energies swell under the actual ad doesn't actually do damage, from what I know of. I don't know if this is intended or not. So you can actually stand in that. Just don't stand in the one that the boss actually summons. So we want to make sure that the volatile energies are dying, because they do zap people and do a lot of damage on a high key, especially with a 15. It's okay, but still ads over boss is the priority. So once you get to a certain point, the boss is going to get to 0 mana, which is getting there right now. This is the last ad. Once it gets to 0 mana, it'll start casting Evocation. This is where you lust. This is where you pop all your cooldowns and you nuke down the boss, because the boss takes 100% extra damage. This is the exact mimic, or the Spire's third boss is an exact mimic of this boss. The only difference is this has an ad. The third boss in Spire's Ascension last season did not. If you want some sort of reference as to what this boss is like, if you played Season 3 of Shadowlands. So we're lusting, we're pumping everything we can into the Curator, taking 100% extra damage. We've got 7 seconds on it. This is where you're just blasting, making sure everything is into the boss. Now when you get to about, 20-15%, you can just start cleaving off the boss onto the ad instead of focusing the ad, because you're not going to need another phase anymore. But just making sure that your healer can actually keep you up and you have defensives to keep yourself up. Don't let the ads overwhelm you and then end up killing you in the process. So now what we're going to do is, before this mob right in front of us, the Infused Pyromancer, was the mini-boss, the infiltrated mini-boss. Now we do not need to do it. So we wait for it to walk to the right-hand side. You don't need to do anything else. There's no invises there. Wait for it to walk to the right, and then you're just going to jump to the left. Make sure you don't get hit by the fell bats stuff on the ground. So now, since we have a rogue, we're going to Shroud past this mob here. I highly recommend to never do this mob. It is an extremely annoying mob, and it takes an extremely long time, and it also charges to people and de-aggros. So the amount of times it's going to just kill people randomly because the tank's just going to lose aggro, because that's how it works, is astronomical. So just don't do this mob. If you need to invis past it, or if you have a DH, luckily, you can imprison it. That is the only thing that can CC it, is imprison. So imprison or invis past. Beautiful. Now, Shade of Medivh. This boss is the Upper Karazhan killer. This is the one that kills every single group that I see. This is about interrupts and making sure you know how to do the interrupts, what to interrupt, and when to interrupt. So, we're going to go through the phases as we see them. We're going to go in. I'm a prop paladin. I'm going to call kicks here. I pretty much have 90% of the kicks because I have Avenger's Shield. So we got Frostbite, which is that first ability. That one needs to be interrupted every single time. Inferno Bolt can go off. If it's on the tank, stay there. Make sure you don't hit the melees. If someone gets frostbitten and they're in ice, put the Inferno Bolt AoE on top of the ice to break said ice, to free the person. If an Inferno Bolt is on anyone else, you can actually run from one side of the room to the other, or use a speed boost, or use any type of blink, or Night Fade blink, or anything like that, to dodge it, because it's a projectile on the ground, not on you. It's not a homing missile. It's not going to focus you. It's going to it's going to end up on the area that it was originally cast on you. So if you have enough speed, you can run out of it, as long as you're moving while it's casting. So just at the end of the cast, you got a second left, just start moving to one side. Try not to hit someone else, because it puts a nasty dot on it. Especially on Tyrant leaks, you want to make sure you don't get hit by this. It is very important, because if a Flame Wreath comes up afterwards, the healer is going to have to pump the heals into you. And this is not a friendly fight for a healer. Piercing missiles as well, you just saw. That is a tank interrupt. Tank will interrupt the one. If there's a second one, use your defensives. There should never be 3 in a row. There's always 1 or 2 in a row. That's about it. So always interrupt 1. That's the tank saving it for it. And then the second one, use your defensives. It is a magic ability. Use your AMSs. Use your Spell Reflex. I'm pretty sure Spell Reflex works on it for a warrior. And then for everyone else, just use your... For this specifically, I'm using Ardent Defender or Guardian of the Ancient Kings. So that Frostbite, as you can see, went onto our Warlock because we had no more interrupts there. So the second Frostbite's going to get done. I tell the healer to go onto the Frostbitten target, and it will remove it. But unfortunately put a dot on our healer regardless. Which is not fun, but that's fine. So there are also 3 intermission phases during Shade of Medivh. 2 of which you'll see here. The third one is not in this video specifically. The one I'm going to talk about is Ceaseless Winter, which is the one that you can't see. It'll just encase the entire room in ice, and all you have to do is move. If you stop moving, you will die. So just keep jumping on the spot, or just keep moving side to side. Whatever works for you. As long as you keep moving. Just do not stop moving. So hardcasters, I'm sorry, this is the part of the dungeon where you just need to not hardcast. Flame Wreath is the one that kills a lot of people. You'll get Flame Wreathed. 2 people will get a circle around them. As you can see, we've got 2 people there. We have our healer and we have our hunter. Now, you cannot pass this ring of fire. You pass this ring of fire, everybody dies. The person dies in the ring of fire, everybody dies. So you need to make sure they are healed. Use defensives, keep yourself up, stay healthy. Interrupt any ability that is cast. Even Inferno Bolt, any ability cast on the people in the Flame Wreath need to be interrupted. So Frostbite's going to come out, our Rogue's going to get it, I'm going to get that Pierced, I'm going to get that Frostbite too. Inferno Bolt's on me, so we leave it. Second one's going to come out, I'm going to interrupt it again. Inferno Bolt's on our healer, I make sure I interrupt it too. As you can see, there's a pattern here. There's very specific casts you need to kick, and then there's also specific times you need to kick them. This is why this boss is nicer to have communication and someone calling an interrupt, but if you don't have that, this is doable without comms. It's just a little bit more sketch. It's a lot easier with a prop paladin, obviously. Now, Guardian's Image is the 3rd intermission phase. You've got Ceaseless Winter, Flame Wreath, and Guardian's Image. Now, Guardian's Image is going to spawn 3 birds around the room. To the left of the boss when you're facing it, walking into the room, to the right, and then to the entrance of the room as well. Now you need to make sure you're interrupting the mobs, because you're going to get this debuff over here and it's going to keep accumulating and it's not going to drop until you interrupt all of them and you kill all of them. Once they're all dead, then this debuff will drop, but this will keep stacking and you'll just take more and more damage every single time they cast. Or they pulse. So you need to make sure that you're interrupting it. So you get your ranged kicks onto the other 2 that you're not targeting. Everyone focuses one of them and nukes them down. I like to start with the left first. Some people like to start with the back. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you kick. That's all you gotta do. So I kick the far one too. And I kick the close one as well. Whenever I can. Now we're at 10 stacks, alright? 10 stacks is fine. If you're getting close to like maybe 20, 25 stacks, that's when you're in real trouble. these things should be dead by then. Obviously, it's a 15. It's a little different than when you're doing a 20 or you're pushing higher. So then we've got the last bit. Just 9% left. Frostbite, Inferno Bolt, same stuff. Just make sure you're interrupting the priority targets and you're all sweet. Okay, so now you're going to have a little bit of, not really RP, but you're going to free fall for about 30 seconds. And it's going to end up being small. So this is going to take you to the next room where the Mana Devourer is. So as you're going down, we're going to go all the way down, all the way down. You're going to land on these books over here and you're going to be very, very small. Now, we're going to run down. Now I'm pretty sure we wipe here somewhere. Because I wasn't going to use this footage before when I did this on stream because we wiped somewhere. But what you're going to do is you're going to jump down here, and as you can see, there's an infiltrator here. You're going to just pull that one singular infiltrator. That's it. There's another infiltrator next to the boss. If you want to pull that too, you can. It's not necessary, but if you want to get an extra stack, you can. Just depends on your time, you know what I mean? If you're good on time, go for it. If you're not, just start the boss. Now you want to save lust. You want to have lust for the first boss, and you want to have lust for this boss as well. Now Mana Devourer is extremely bad because it's kind of like a race against the clock because you're trying to make sure that the Mana Devourer doesn't get full mana. If the Mana Devourer does get full mana, it will completely annihilate your entire group. Pretty much the whole goal is to not let any orbs hit the boss because each orb that hits the boss gives it another 5% mana. And it starts with a set amount of mana as well. Now, the very basic things here is don't stand in the swirls on the ground, soak the orbs, and then drop your stacks from when you get the orbs into the pools on the ground that are there. If you're taking too much damage, because these stacks do give you increased damage, but also deal quite a lot of damage to you as well. So these pools right now that are spawning, those are your soak points. You're going to soak them if you have too many stacks. Now that zap that comes out of the boss is going to happen periodically. You just have to heal it. So again, you've got Energy Void and Arcane Bomb, and here are the balls that are coming out. Now, there is a method to do this where you can use immunities and you can pull the boss straight into the corner near the books. Now, the issue with that is it has to be in a very specific spot. If it's not in a pixel perfect position, some of the orbs will spawn outwards and some of the orbs won't really get soaked by you, and it'll kind of just go onto the boss anyway. So I like to just be safe and just play it normally instead of trying to do some tricky thing with some immunities. But if you can place it properly and it does work for you, by all means do it. It's a 15, I don't care. I'm just going to do it the way it was intended. So this is how I'm going to do it. Now you can see the mana of the Mana Devourer is at 10%. We're good. Alright? We don't want any of the orbs going in. We're just going to keep nuking it down. As you can see, I've got the debuff here, which is the 4 stack over here. That's the debuff. I'm the tank. I can heal myself. I'm pretty tanky myself, so I can have that extra damage, and that's going to increase my damage by a lot. Pretty sure it's 10% a stack, so it's 40% increased damage, which is pretty huge. Which means you're going to just absolutely nuke this boss, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go in here. We've killed the boss. Perfect. Now we're going to get bigger again. Now this room on Fortified kills people all the time. So these are the Mana Devourers, the smaller versions. Or now you're bigger, the normal versions, I guess. And they work exactly the same as the boss. Do not let the orbs that they summon hit them. If they hit them, instead of gaining mana, these ones will just do a massive explosion. That is the one-shot mechanic from the boss, but they'll end up doing it from being the small trash mobs. And yes, they will do the same thing. They will kill your group. But again, if you soak the orbs, you will also get a 10% damage increase and healing increase for 8 seconds. So, and yes, it does stack. Not the time, but it does stack with the damage and health and the healing buff. So we're going to pull both of these packs. Now pulling 6 of them is a little bit ballsy because there's a lot of mobs coming around. And the bad thing about this week is you have to move them with Sanguine. So sometimes the trajectory of the balls will not be where you want them to be, and it kind of screws people over a little bit. I think some of them hit them here. As you can see, no, none of them are hitting him yet. Okay, we're pretty good here. We're pretty alright here. Hold on. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. Alright, so then we're going to pull this. We're going to keep going. We've got this 3-pack and we've got another 3-pack coming up. So, in this room, I see a lot of people go over count, or they don't really get the right count. You only need 90% before you leave this room. You only need 90%. This is the room where you get almost 30 or 40%, because these mana worms give you so much percent. Oh, the mana devourers give you so much percent, and the rest of your percent comes from the chess event. Now this next area after this room, you're gonna skip everything. Use a rogue, shroud everything. In this specific video, we shroud, but I think I walk too close to a mob, or someone else walks too close to a mob. I'm pretty sure it's me. We walk too close to a mob, and then it breaks us out of stealth. So what we do is we run as far up the ramp as possible, and our healer will go inside the chest room and heal and res us from there. Now I'm going to give you another tip and trick as well to make sure if you are going to death run this, that you do this properly and don't screw it up, because I've seen a lot of people do this wrong as well, and it wastes a lot of time. So I'm going to go through here. We're going to walk up this way. Now I'm telling everyone to make sure we get a speed boost, and then we shroud. Now as you can see, I'm literally on this guy. I should be going a little bit closer to between both of them. So it ends up pulling because I'm too close. So I'm going to go all the way up. Now, you need to go way past this pyromancer and pretty much up to the top here on the flat surface. The reason being, when you enter the chest room right now, when you enter the chest room, if I have a better view of the chest room. Okay, so if you enter the chest room, everything in the chest room will give you a debuff, which will pretty much remove the ability for you to cast anything or use any abilities. You need to be actually on the chessboard itself in order to use abilities. So, in order for you to res people, people need to be close enough to you and to the chessboard. So if you're anywhere further than this area here, you're pretty much not getting resed. And the reason why you can't res over here is because these fell bats are going to continuously put these green circles on the ground. And if your healer or the person that's resing you is the only person alive and they have to cast, these swirls are going to constantly go on them, and if it's a high enough key, they're just going to die because it targets whoever's there. So you just need to make sure that you're over here, because you can't cast unless you're on the chessboard itself. So hopefully that helps some people if they are going to death skip this. I personally believe you to just make sure nothing bad happens, just invis potion it and use a speed boost, then invis potion it and just go. It just makes it so much easier. The trash here is really dumb. There's only 3 mobs here. It takes a long time. It's really annoying. There's no point doing the trash. Trust me. So we get rezzed up. Rezzes the warlock. Rezzes all of us up, sorry. And now we're doing the chess event. This event will give you about 10 to 11%. Now all you need to do here is pick a target. A rook, bishop, knight. I like doing the knights first. So when you kill a chess piece, the king will deactivate. Sorry. By deactivate, I mean lose its blessing of protection that's on it. As you can see, there's a massive bop on its head. So once the bop is removed, you can attack the king. Now you want to hold your cooldowns until the king is active, because if you can get the king down to 30% health in one phase, the king will not bop themselves again. So you'll be able to just kill the king after that. If you don't get the king to 30%, then you'll have to repeat the entire thing and kill another knight, rook, or bishop, another chess piece, in order to break the king's bop again. So then that's wasting another 1 minute, 2 minutes, just by not doing enough damage and holding your cooldown. So don't be that guy and, like, you know, blow your load early. Yeah, don't be that guy. So we're gonna go through the knights. Now all these chess pieces, you just gotta remember, if you know how to play chess in real life, they will move and they will put abilities down the exact same way they do in real life chess. So bishops can only move diagonally, rooks can only move forward and sideways, the queen will move all of them, as you can see, around it and then diagonally everywhere, and the knight will move in an L shape, and then it'll land on the ground, and then it'll do a massive AoE on the ground. So as you can see, we're going to kill the knight. I'm going to say pop your cooldowns, everyone's going to smack the king, and we're going to get the king down to 30%. Now, as you can see, it's down below 30% now. The king's active again, but doesn't bop itself. So you've saved about a minute or 2 minutes. Perfect. You want to save as much time as you can, because this last boss can get a little sketchy if you're not prepared for it. Now we're going to wait for this little RP. It takes about 5 seconds. I'm going to go through, and then we're going to wait for the RP in the last boss room while we're waiting for the door to open. It takes about another 30-40 seconds. So, we have the last boss, which is Viz'aduum the Watcher. Now, they're very specific and very easily telegraphed mechanics here. We're going to go through all of them. So, as we're pulling, we're going to go straight here. Skipped a bit too far ahead. First ability you're going to see straight off the bat is going to be Burning Blast, which is going to be the first ability on the list here, which is just a tank hit. It just targets the tank. Just interrupt it. It's just the only interrupt you need. So just make sure you're interrupting the boss. Now you get the second one, which is Fell Beam. Fell Beam is going to be a beam cast on a player with a massive green pool underground. You just need to make sure you move it. It's exactly the same way that the first boss Hildebrand in Gambit, Tazavesh Gambit, is. Exactly the same mechanic. The third ability is going to be Disintegrate. He's just going to look in a direction, and he's just going to cast. It's the longest cast ever. You can move out, and you can take your time. Just don't get hit by it. You'll get knocked back, and you'll take a shit ton of damage. Just don't do it. It's very easy. As you can see, our Warlock with the high ping, unfortunately, doesn't move. The beam kills him. That's fine. We have to do the rest of the boss with 4 people. Okay, so, Chaotic Shadows now. Every platform is going to increase the amount of people with Chaotic Shadows by 1. First platform's going to have 1, second platform's going to have 2, third platform's going to have 3. This debuff will expire after 10 seconds, but you can dispel it early. All this is going to do is release balls around the person that has the debuff, and then it's going to go throughout the entire platform. So you just need to make sure you dodge it. The further away you are from the player, the easier it is to dodge. So make sure the player is out of the room, or the group. Do not be near anyone else if you have this debuff, and then either the healer will dispel you, or you just wait for it to dispel itself, or to time out itself. That is pretty much the abilities of the boss itself. And now we're just going to talk about the platforms and transitioning to the platforms themselves. So once it gets to 60%, it's going to go to stage 2. Then once it gets to 30%, it's going to get to stage 3. You're just going to walk into that portal there. My horse is absolutely yeeting. Fantastic. I love that animation. It's very funny. Alright, so now here, it's going to cast Disintegrate straight down the middle. Do not touch the sides where these lightning strikes are. Otherwise, you're going to take a lot of damage, which is not fun. Use some sort of defensive. As you can see, our hunter accidentally goes in there and dies. So we res the hunter and rinse and repeat. Exactly the same thing here. The only difference is that the platform is a lot smaller than platform 1, which makes the Chaotic Shadow debuff that much harder to dodge. So that means you need to be as far away from the group as possible when you get it. As I said, Chaotic Shadows is now going to be put on 2 players instead of 1. So we're going to wait for the Disintegrate. Now you're going to have to dodge these swirls as well. Very simple mechanics, just dodge the swirls, obviously. Our rogue gets hit by the frontal Disintegrate, accidentally gets yeeted off the edge. So now we have to 3-man this boss. Now I have Chaotic Shadows, I'm on the boss. Obviously I can't move far away from the boss. We get the boss to 30%. This is where you save your lust, by the way. You do not lust first phase or second phase. The third phase is where you want to burn the boss because it's a race against time, because you're going to have a lot of ads coming out. There's a lot of shit going on. You just want to get rid of the boss. So you save all your cooldowns for this. Grab all the Fell Sentries. They don't do anything special. They just hit the tank for a little bit. Now, this boss is going to cast Stabilize Rift, as you can see on the right-hand side here. If this cast goes off, for some reason, you can do damage to this boss during this cast, by the way. You don't need to interrupt him straight away, but just make sure this cast doesn't go off. Very simple. You let this cast go off, there is an issue. Like, no one has been paying attention if this cast actually goes off. So we're just going to lust. Obviously, I'm a paladin. I start with my Avenger's Shield and interrupts the boss accidentally, which probably I shouldn't have. Now, all 3 of us have the Chaotic Shadows, so we need to be spread from all 3 of us. Luckily, it's 2 ranged and 1 melee, and we're just going to dodge all the balls. Don't let them hit your face. Disintegrate's going to go down the middle, more sentries are going to spawn, and we're just going to nuke the boss down to 0. Now, we almost 3-chested that, actually, even with 2 people dead on the last boss. So, for people that haven't done a 15 on this, it is quite doable. Our damage is not that great. This was a carry key as well for my stream. My damage is horrible on my paladin. Don't judge me, please. But yeah, that is Upper Karazhan. Pretty simple. Very short dungeon. Nothing too crazy going on. It's a very interrupt-heavy dungeon and personal responsibility dungeon. There's a lot going on, but it is very doable and quite simple. It has been nerfed. Has been nerfed as of now, since the second week of Shadowlands Season 4, so if you're gonna give it a go, give it a go. It's I think this week is fine. And give it a shot. But yeah, if you have any questions or any comments you would like to make, please put them down into the comment section below. Give it a like, help the algorithm out, give them a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. Next video will come up in a few days. I think I might do Junkyard or Workshop, we'll see. Because I still have Junkyard, Workshop, and Iron Docks left, and they're pretty simple. I think Workshop maybe would be the one that you guys would have most difficulty with in terms of the average player base, so we might do that. But thank you very much for watching. Peace out. Love you all. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time.